Hello and welcome to this psychology topic video where we're going to look at how to write a model answer to A-level sample assessment material set 2, paper 3 question 7, which is an attraction essay, application essay, which is actually worth 16 marks. So let's take a look at the question. There's a scenario that goes with this. So it says Teddy is discussing his girlfriend Sasha. He says we're in the same year at university, both studying marketing. She's really good at the theoretical side and I was much better when it came to practical work. We specialise in different areas now. I'm always proud to be seen out with her, with Sasha. Other guys are really jealous when they see her. We tell each other everything and there's no secrets in our relationship. It then says discuss factors affecting attraction in romantic relationships, referring to Teddy's comment in your answer for 16 marks. Now, those of you probably have spotted that and are aware from the specification that there's 3 different theories of attraction. There's filter theory, physical attractiveness and self-disclosure. And actually all 3 of those elements are present in this particular extract. So I've highlighted in yellow where he says we're both in the same year of university and both studying marketing. That clearly applies to the idea of filter theory. The green highlight is clearly referring to the idea of physical attractiveness, and then the blue is referring to that idea of self-disclosure. Now it says discuss factors. I probably wouldn't do all 3. I'd be inclined to pick the 2 I know particularly well and use those 2 to craft my essay. As always, let's look at how we might structure it. So I might make a point in this particular case and explain what we mean by physical attractiveness and the idea of sexual selection and the halo effect. I'd then go on to apply it to the extract and mention in particular the bit where he says he's always proud to be seen out with Sasha and link that to the idea of physical attractiveness. And I would then draw on my research support, probably a study by Dion in this case, looking at the halo effect. And I might even extend that evaluation by talking about key individual differences that apply in this area. Okay, that would be the first half of my essay. I'd then do exactly the same for self-disclosure and talk about social penetration theory. I'd apply that to the extract where he says we tell each other everything. And then finally, I'm going to draw on more research support, the Sprecher and Hendricks study, and then maybe bring in again some further criticisms and the idea of cultural bias and so forth in that particular case. Okay, so that's going to be my broad structure for this essay. Let's start with a blank canvas, and in terms of our AO1 we could say that one factor affecting attraction in romantic relationships is physical attractiveness. One explanation comes from sexual selection, as symmetrical faces can be unconsciously perceived as a sign of health and fertility. Another one suggests that we tend to see physically attractive people in a more positive light overall, viewing them as friendly and intelligent, and this is called the halo effect. I'm then going to apply, I'm going to say as Teddy's comments that he's always proud to be seen out with Sasha and that other guys are really jealous when they see her. This suggests that the physical attractiveness plays an important part in Teddy's attraction to Sasha and may lead Teddy to seeing Sasha as more attractive as a person on the whole, which is linked to that idea of the halo effect. I've then said I'm going to evaluate at this point, and if I put the evaluation on the screen, probably as a whole slide, this looks a bit intimidating at this stage. But the evaluation is just taking a very familiar form, using a burger paragraph, or in this case an extended burger, where we've added in a counter criticism. So let's see what that looks like in a slightly different structure. So we had our AO1, where we've mentioned the idea of attractiveness. We had the AO2 related to Teddy, but now instead of looking at that in 3 columns, let's just put the evaluation on the screen so you can see what I mean by that. So I've said the halo effect is supported by research evidence. For example, Dion found that attractive people are consistently rated as successful, kind and sociable compared to unattractive people. This means that we do not only perceive good-looking people as more physically attractive, we expect them to have other desirable characteristics as well, just as the halo theory suggests. Now, I'm actually going to extend that further and say, however, there are significant individual differences in terms of the importance people place on physical attractiveness. Tauhe gave participants photos of strangers and some biographical information, and they were asked to rate how much they liked the people in the photographs. And what they found is that physical attractiveness was more important for partners who displayed sexist attitudes, measured by a specific questionnaire. And that clearly shows us that actually there are individual differences in relation to physical attractiveness. And therefore, my conclusion, I've said this suggests that physical attractiveness may or may not be a significant factor in attractiveness, and that individual differences are an important factor when we consider attractiveness. If I now put that paragraph back into the essay structure, we can see that although this is an application essay, it's nothing to worry about, because we started with our usual knowledge. We've then just added a bit of sort of AO2 in this particular case, where we've applied it to Teddy, which allows us to expand on our AO2, and then we've inserted in a very familiar extended evaluation paragraph to conclude, okay? And that will be the first half of our essay. So when we present it like that, it's not that intimidating after all. Let's go back to our essay structure. So we've done the first half, which is on the screen now. We now said that we're going into the idea of self-disclosure. Again, we're going to apply it And finally, we're going to evaluate again through another extended evaluation paragraph. So let's do exactly the same again. You might say that Teddy also says there are no secrets in his relationships, and this refers to another theory, which is self-disclosure. Okay, so I've actually started my second part with a tiny bit of application, but really that's just to set the scene of the new theory I'm going into. This is where partners gradually reveal more personal information when they're in a relationship, and research suggests that a high degree of self-disclosure increases intimacy and a sense of security in a couple's relationships. This forms the central idea of social penetration theory, which claims that by gradually revealing emotions and experiences and listening to our partners, people gain a greater understanding of each other and start to display trust. I then do my application. I've said the fact that Teddy and Sasha tell each other everything means that they trust each other enough to reveal intimate information about themselves, and this makes their attraction stronger. And remember, this was an essay on attraction. Now I just need to insert in my evaluation, and I'm going to do something very different for the evaluation this time. We often talk in psychology about having a simple evaluation paragraph, which we refer to as a sort of burger paragraph. We often refer to an extended version of that where we insert in a counter-argument or an issue debate, and we often call that or refer to that as a double whopper. I guess for today we can call this paragraph on the screen a triple whopper for argument's sake, where we're actually going to insert in two counter-arguments or an issue debate and a counter-argument. The reason I want to demonstrate this is to show you that actually you can really run with effective evaluation, and rather than stop a paragraph, why not just insert in further evaluation as you go through and then conclude. Now, some teachers teach it differently and they ask students to insert issues and debates on at the end. Absolutely fine. I suggest inserting them into the middle of existing paragraphs because then you still conclude with a bottom bun when you explain, and it's important that any evaluation you give is always explicitly linked back to the question. And I think by sandwiching in, so to speak, your extra evaluation within the context of, say, a burger paragraph, that helps you to do that. Let me demonstrate. The effect of self-disclosure on attraction was investigated by Sprecher and Hendrick. They studied dating heterosexual couples and found that as self-disclosure increased, so did relationship satisfaction. This shows that self-disclosure is an important factor in the development of attraction, just as social penetration theory suggests. Okay, I'm now going to bring in a point about cultural biased research in this area and why social penetration theory is limited because of that cultural bias. So I'm going to start by saying, however, social penetration theory was based on research in Western individualistic cultures and may not apply to collectivist cultures. For example, research by Trang found that men and women in the USA tended to disclose more sexual thoughts and feelings in comparison to romantic partners in China. However, their level of relationship satisfaction was equally high. This shows that self-disclosure is not a requirement for successful relationships in all cultures, making social penetration theory culturally biased. Okay. I could now add to that and bring in a point on the fact that the research is typically correlational and say furthermore, for most of the research support for self-disclosure comes from correlational research. And while there is undoubtedly a link between self-disclosure and relationship satisfaction, cause and effect cannot be established, and therefore we cannot conclude that self-disclosure leads to greater attraction in romantic relationships. The beauty now with this paragraph is I can completely turn that around. While I'm saying there is research support, look how I've concluded. I've said how, despite the research evidence, both the physical attractiveness explanation, which we looked at first, and social penetration theory ignore many other aspects of romantic attraction, which makes these explanations limited in their ability to explain attraction in all types of relationships. Let's now put that back in on the end, and you can see there now how nicely we've got that really extended and really well developed evaluation paragraph at the end of this essay. If I pop the whole essay on screen, and you can pause the video here to sort of just cast your eyes over all of that. We've got the question at the top. Maybe there's a scenario there, but the question starting from where my cursor is here, where it says suggested answer, you can see the black text is our AO1, our knowledge, about 135 words of that. The AO2, the green text, is our application, which, as you know, in these application essays is said to be worth 4 of the marks available. And then the AO3, which is still worth an additional 6 marks, forms our really big discussion. Now, admittedly, the discussion, that final paragraph, probably is a bit too in-depth for the time you would have to write it, but I just wanted to demonstrate how you can form really effective evaluation without stopping yourself and carrying on in the flow of an essay. Okay. Really hope you found that video useful for that particular question. For more videos and future webinars, sign up to tutoryou.net/psychology/events. If you have any questions or queries or concerns, do ask us either via Twitter or our Facebook group. Thank you once again for watching. Bye-bye now.